So that today I always enjoy learning new things, and we're going to learn about the Mechatronics program, a new program on the Faribault campus of South Central College, but not new to South Central. We'll get details here in a moment. It is a delight to have with us in studio today Barb Embacher. She is the Dean of Workforce Education and Training at South Central, and also Mike Busch, who is the Mechatronics instructor here on the Faribault campus. They just had their first class yesterday, you were saying before we hit the airwaves. So how did it go, Mike?
We've had a great response here on the Faribault campus, and boy, if I had to describe the students over here, I'd call them, they're blue chip. They're real interested in the program and the direction it can take them.
Very rabid learners.
Well, I haven't had anybody go rabid, but as I mentioned, they're really excited, and the first week's always we get to know each other, talk about some of the expectations, and then also some of the great things that we're going to be looking at, whether it's in the classroom or in our lab situation.
Let's get your background. How did you get interested in mechatronics?
Yeah, quickly, for most of us, if you can think about your neighborhood and the group of kids that you ran with, I was the kid that always wanted to know how things worked. So if we were out riding our bikes and making our tires skid, I was the guy that was taking the bikes apart of all my friends in the neighborhood and wondering, hey, how does that work? And taking apart radios and electronic things. So that's where it really started for me. Fast forwarding, the Mechatronics program at South Central gave me the opportunity to actually reinvent myself at 44 years of age. So came to this program, graduated on a Thursday night, and I was out in contract manufacturing on a Monday morning.
Isn't that amazing? What did you do before that?
Prior to that, I was actually in the service management aspect of industry.
I did the same thing when I was a kid. I'd take bikes apart, but I couldn't get them back together. I mean, seriously.
It's probably good you're in radio, then.
My brain's just not wired that way. I would take it apart, but then putting it back together was the issue. You didn't have that issue.
Well, you could round up all that stuff and bring it on over to the campus, and we'll make that into a lab for our students.
I'm talking years ago when I was a youngster. So, Barb, how long have you been with South Central?
I'm going on almost 2 years in October, so it's pretty exciting job. I get to work with lots of great faculty like Mike and lots of the students that are coming in to do these high-tech careers and shake their hand when they graduate and help them get jobs, and I have a great job.
Getting jobs probably isn't a problem in this field.
Not at all, which is why we brought this program to the Faribault campus. Advanced manufacturing careers are hot right now. They are hungry for fresh brains and technicians of all kinds in the production and high-tech advanced manufacturing positions that are out there in the region. And of course, Faribault has lots of manufacturing. It's one of the main drivers of this economy. So they're pretty excited that we're here and growing this program here on this campus because they've got jobs ready for our graduates.
And not just Faribault. I mean, Owatonna's got a lot of manufacturing. Lakeville has a lot of manufacturing.
Absolutely. All the way up and down the I-35 corridor, there's a lot of manufacturing that really supports our great economy here.
So we've had good response to the class, Mike, so far?
We have, and in my particular case, I was what we refer to as a non-traditional student, and that is what I call the magic of this program is it's not just marketed to the traditional student, it's also for even an incumbent worker that's been out in industry but wants to stay abreast of new developments, and maybe their company sees a need for them to return and get some more education to keep up with the new and growing technologies. There's a new technology in this area, for example, that's emerging. So our student body actually ranges from your traditional student to your incumbent worker to your non-traditional student. So that, again, that's one of the magic keys of this program.
I probably got a little ahead of myself. When we return, we'll tell you what Mechatronics is. When AM Minnesota continues. In AM Minnesota today, we are learning all about mechatronics, or we will before the end of the show, from Barb Embacher, Dean of Workforce Education and Training at South Central College's. Are you on both campuses or just Faribault?
That's correct, both campuses.
You're on both campuses, okay. Barb's on both campuses. And I won't ask her which is her favorite because, that's kind of like asking which is your favorite child. So we won't go there. Mike Busch is with us, Mechatronics instructor. By the way, welding instructor John Smith will be joining you on September 24th.
That's correct.
And we're looking forward to that show too. But today we're going to talk about mechatronics. We touched a little bit on it in the first portion of the show. So I guess the question here, a lot of listeners probably wondering, what exactly is mechatronics?
That is a great question, and I'd like to say that we invented that term at South Central as a marketing tool because it definitely generates dialogue. So for most people, it might be a new term to them. The term itself is actually about 40 years old. However, it's just not really been used because the mecha component refers to mechanical systems, more traditional kind of nuts and bolts type of operational systems we might think of. And then we go to the second part, the tronics. And for our applications, we're talking about computer controls, electronic systems, microprocessors. So when we combine those, we end up with convergence of both mechanical and electrical systems. So for most of us, a great example of convergence would be our smartphone. So now we have a device that, in addition to the ability to make calls, it's our calculator, it's a way we can check email, it's a flashlight, it's got many things combined into one. So mechatronics is the same idea. So we've basically taken the convergence of things that previously only a mechanical engineer would have dealt with, and things previously, for example, in higher education, only an electrical engineer would have dealt with, and combined the aspects of those into one person. So in our case, it's our mechatronics student.
Yeah, for example, televisions back in the day was one that just did one thing. You mentioned a cell phone as an example, which is a great example, by the way, because it's your ultimate multitasking tool, right?
Yeah, I would agree. Most of us, it's gone beyond just enhancing our lifestyle. It's become part of our lifestyle.
So mechatronics incorporates all the different disciplines, the electronics, the mechanics of it all, into one thing.
That's correct. So now we've got somebody, in our case, we can bring a student in, and over the course of 4 semesters, they can get introduced to all the important aspects of sensors and controls, programmable logic controllers, for example, mechanical systems, fluid power systems such as hydraulics and pneumatics, and how those things are applied in our advanced manufacturing environments, how they work together in synergy, and the importance of understanding how they interact, and also the ability to maintain those systems.
And Barb, you mentioned earlier one of the reasons you brought this to the Faribault campus was because it is so hot right now.
It is. You know, industry really needs these skill sets in their employees. It's really pretty common for an employee to be hired in a manufacturing company, and they have to know a variety of things. They can't just push the button and operate a machine. They need to do preventative maintenance. They need to do troubleshooting. If a big automation robotics machine breaks down, these are very expensive equipment, and of course production depends on that. So these technicians that know these combination of skills are in high demand because of the way technology is advanced and how dependent on it we are.
And really the only way to educate these people properly is through a technical education, right?
Absolutely. There's got to be a combination of the theory behind some of the engineering design concepts, but they really need the hands-on practice, which is what our program really does. We've got some unique ways to do that, both in our classroom labs, which, by the way, we're investing in a lot of equipment right now, so students are going to be practicing on the latest and greatest robotics equipment, electronic devices, and businesses around this area have been very generous in helping us with some donated items, which we should certainly appreciate. And so students will get that hands-on experience. They also, if they're a remote or distance learner, so if they don't live right in the area and can't come to campus, we're also doing some really creative things through our National Science Foundation grant, where we actually are assembling kits of widgets and devices and tools that they can do labs right in their home or in their garage if they can't come and do the face-to-face lab. So that's a unique approach too, to reach out to even more learners in a wider area.
So am I hearing that this is being offered online then?
I wouldn't call it all online. It's a blended approach. I would call it more of a hybrid. Some of the lectures and some of the practice experiences and readings can be done online. But the lab part, the hands-on practice of these skills, really is still done in a hands-on way. So that's the part that's a nice combination. So it's not a all online class. They really have a blended approach and some options to do that.
Mike, how does your class work? For example, do you spend an hour doing book stuff and then go to the lab, or how does it work?
Yeah, great question. I think for our program, one of the other strengths of it is, if I had to summarize it in one word, I would call it balance. So we aren't just lecturing. The students aren't just reading out of a textbook. They're not just doing physical things in the lab. They're not just researching things online. They're not just glued to a laptop, but we combine all those into a great balanced approach. And that's what they're going to see when they get out into industry. Just as Barb mentioned about the alternate delivery method of the material, when you get out into industry, it's the same idea there. You might have to pull information from a book on a shelf. You might have to do some internet research. You may have to collaborate with one of your colleagues. And our advisory board from our local businesses does a great job with helping us understand what they need and what the students need in terms of curriculum and even just communication skills, team building skills, and the ability to go into these environments. And in most cases, what we're seeing is graduates from the Mechatronics program are arriving at companies on day one with more enhanced skills and more abilities to actually take on projects that an incumbent worker that's been with the company for several months or maybe even a number of years just doesn't have the skill set and the ability to come up to a piece of equipment, for example, recognize how it works and what the expected outcome is. And our students can go into those environments and they're equipped with that. And our advisory board and our companies that are hiring these students understand that and know that, hey, if you came from the South Central College Mechatronics program, I know I can get your feet right away and throw a project at you that somebody that's already been here for a number of years might not be equipped to take on.
So the biggest obstacle, I'm assuming, Barb and Mike, is educating high school students about this field. Those are the more traditional students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's it's a fairly new program in terms of something they may not think about.
Right.
We have to find those students in high school who know that they're a hands-on kind of learner, that they love to tinker with things, they love to figure out how things work.
Like
Those
Mike
are
did when he
like
was a
Mike
kid.
did when he was a kid, absolutely. And those students that learn by doing, those are some of our best fit students. This is a rigorous program, but we have really great instructors that really break it down and walk it through. So some of the typical classes, I'll just rattle a few of those off. So if there's students out there that are listening today and thinking maybe this is something for me, maybe you're an adult that's thinking about a career change, or maybe you're a veteran coming back and you have some of these skills already from the service that you did in our military. That's a good fit as well. We have a lot of really talented veterans out there that are returning to Minnesota, and this might be a great way to get some certifications, get placed in a good job, banking on some of the skills they learned in the military. So typical classes would be some electricity classes, physics class, some computer applications, some mechanical systems classes. We do some things on robotics and sensors and controls, fluid power, as Mike mentioned, which is hydraulics and pneumatics, and then the industrial controls, those PLCs that Mike mentioned. So students really, they do have a technical writing class because often our students are asked to look through technical manuals, and they need to be able to understand how to write directions and things like that as well. But those are really the nutshell of the 2 years of courses, and as Mike mentioned, our graduates, like he did, have jobs when they graduate. Sometimes we have employers coming to our students saying, when are you done? We have a job right now, and we say, well, please wait until May when they graduate, or wait till January. And they usually are good about working through that because they know the value of that degree. So I want to also mention that we have starts for this program every fall and every spring, And we've now also implemented some summer course offerings to get students started in the summer even if they want to jump in. So they don't have to wait for just a one-time-a-year fall start anymore. That way we can increase the availability of these courses. Students can get started at our college any semester they'd like.
Has there been any thought about implementing this at the high school level?
Yes, in fact, we have a lot of high schools in the area that have robotics teams and are putting some of the introductory coursework into their tech ed programs. We're going to be visiting those high schools. Mike is going to actually be going out and visiting some of those high school classrooms, talking to students and teachers about these opportunities, getting them over to our campus, having some career exploration days. We're excited to have Southern Minnesota host a VEX robotics competition for high school youth, and we're going to be sponsoring that event, and our college students are going to be judges and referees of that event. So
cool.
Yes, we're very engaged with our high schools and want to welcome them to our campus, come see our new lab. We're buying new robots, and some of it hasn't yet arrived, but it's on its way. So we're going to have some cool things to show off, and would love to have high school students. A good time for that is coming up in October. There's a tour of manufacturing event, the Made in Manufacturing event that Faribault hosts. So students and teachers and community members are welcome to come on over, and Mike and I will be sure to give them a tour and talk about the program more.
Of course, the president of South Central, Dr. Annette Parker, was part of the president's appointed panel on manufacturing. Mm-hmm. Was that another reason why this was kind of
it sure is
escalated?
It
accelerated
sure is.
Here, I should say.
Yep, Dr. Parker was one of only 2 community college presidents in the nation to be serving on that committee, which is a pretty big deal for us and for our college to really learn about not only what are the needs of manufacturers in the Faribault region, but what is the nationwide need and critical skills shortage that's out there. And we learned that we weren't alone. There's not only good jobs in the Faribault region, in the Mankato region, but it's nationwide. There's going to definitely be a lot of skilled technicians retiring. The baby boomers are aging out of the workforce. And who are the young people going to fill those positions? We know we're going to have huge gaps to fill, which is why we've really put some investment in our manufacturing programs. So along with Mechatronics, we've ramped up our welding programs, we've ramped up and invested in high technology in our machining program as well. So yes, Faribault is reaping some of the benefits of Dr. Parker's expertise and national connections, which is why we're happy to be sitting on some resources now from some national grants that we didn't have even a few years ago, which is helping us make some investments in equipment and things.
Beautiful lab, Mike. You have a really nice lab.
We have what I would consider to be a really, really nice sandbox, and we are going to fill it with some really, really cool toys. And right now, the students here on the Faribault campus, they're the pioneers. Just like I got to be one of the pioneers in my program, so they're going to be heavily involved in some of what we do in terms of how we're going to lay the lab out and increasing their opportunity for learning, and they're going to be hands-on, and that's something that they're going to be able to take with them. And as far as the transfer into industry, they may go into that opportunity. With the way things are emerging, and economic recovery and economic growth tends to center around innovation, and these companies that are willing to be innovators and they're starting up and getting going, a lot of these students are going to be going into an environment where they might be helping set up a facility from scratch. And so the pioneers here in Faribault have that opportunity. I think probably one of the greatest forms of flattery is duplication, and the reason we're here at Faribault is we've just had such a wildly successful program in North Mankato. However, I'm going to qualify, we're not just duplicating that program. What's really impressed me in the Mechatronics end of the building, so to speak, is no one's resting on their laurels, and just this opportunity to visit with you is great, because our mission basically is, what are we doing right now to make the experience in our Mechatronics program better for our current students, and what are we doing right now to promote the opportunity of this program to people that may not know about it. So whenever we run across somebody that says Mechatronics, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
That's actually a really positive thing, because now one more person is familiar with not only that term, but what it means and what's offered here at Faribault in terms of higher education at South Central College.
And you yourself, you said you were a non-traditional student at age 44. You pretty much reinvented yourself, right? So you can teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, what a great testimony to a program. And at that point, I don't want to say the program was in its infancy, but it was kind of toddling around in pull-ups maybe. And so for someone to be able to come into a higher education program and also into an environment that was very welcoming, great instructors, passionate about what they do, very, very manageable class sizes, great academic support center. So we might have a student that says, you know what, this really sounds like it's for me. You know, I'm not the greatest at math. No problem. We're going to match that student's commitment. We're going to give them the academic support they need in that area to help them enjoy and excel in the other course offerings that Barb mentioned that are in Mechatronics. So, and that's just one example of what goes on in the South Central environment to contribute to the success of our students.
That's awesome to hear. Again, our guest today is Barb Embacher. She's Dean of Workforce Education and Training at South Central College, and Mike Busch, Mechatronics instructor on the Faribault campus, right?
That's correct. Yep, I'm housed here in Faribault. I have the luxury of not only being the instructor, but also the driving force, so to speak, in developing the physical lab here at Faribault, which is just a really, really exciting opportunity. And so took me out of contract manufacturing, but I look at it as a way to help prepare a lot of people to go and backfill for the position that I had.
Well, there you go. You can give back to the program that gave to you so much. It's not often you get to do that, Barb.
No. We were very lucky to find Mike, and those are exactly the kind of teachers I love to hire, those that have the academic background and have been through a similar or the exact program, so they have the experience of being a student, so they know what the learner needs, but has the industry experience. So, you know, Mike brings a lot of experience from his previous positions he's held, and those are the kind of real-life examples that he can share every day with his students and make sure that it's relevant, you know. Because there is a difference between someone who's been really out of touch with the industry and maybe has, you know, only been in a classroom for 30 years. It's harder for a teacher that's not been close to the positions that they're training students for to stay fresh. And we work hard at doing that for teachers that have been in the field a long time. But it's a delight to get someone fresh out of industry who also has the ability to teach and has that passion. So we're excited to have Mike here, and I have no doubt we're going to build a really strong program here. So,
Does that class, the one that you currently have, is it a mix, traditional, non-traditional students?
That's a great question, and right now, and I should have qualified, hey, you don't have to be a non-traditional student to come to the program. That just happens to be the story for some of our students. But we do, even in the smaller groups, that whole spectrum is represented, and we do something really exciting. I think it's really exciting, called a STAR session, which is a student advising and registration session, where we get to meet the students within our specific programs. And for me, every one of those sessions, I feel like an expectant father. I'm waiting to meet the new students, and there's so many times, and a lot of my colleagues too, and we'll always be saying to kids, but we actually have to catch ourselves and refer to them as students, because we do represent the spectrum in terms of age and ability. So the class I had this morning, we had everything from a post-secondary education student right here from Faribault High School to the classic non-traditional student, and everything in between.
So this class doesn't run all day. Does it work every day?
Well, students can really choose between a part-time schedule and a full-time schedule, and that's the beauty of it. They can start either in August, January, or June, and they can choose to come on a part-time basis, take a class or two. It'll take them longer to finish, of course, if they go part-time. And for the student that's graduating from high school, we really like them to go right into and take about 12 credits and stay in the mode of learning and being a full-time student. They can get through the program in 2 years that way. We offer, our businesses around the area often hire them as interns in the summer, offer them part-time employment experience, which is also a real asset to our students, to blend that in with our classroom program. But certainly, sometimes adult learners can't just quit their job completely and come to school full-time. So we try to make part-time schedules work really well too, so that we can accommodate anyone who wants access to this kind of a degree.
Yeah, because like Mike was touching on, I mean, he's probably got some people in there that have families, and they have, you know, they still have to take care of their families.
Absolutely.
And just can't do the whole full-time schedule.
Exactly. Yep.
It's great that you offer that. If somebody out there is interested, they just contact you, or
yeah, you know, there's lots of ways. You can learn a lot about our program on our website at www.southcentral.edu. That's southcentral.edu. Of course, there's some detailed information about the kind of courses, you know, how you get, how you apply. All those kind of details are on our website. But if you're the kind of person that really wants to just get in and talk to Mike, or talk to one of our admissions representatives, they're always available weekdays. It's real easy to call our office and set up an appointment, or just stop in and we'll get some information to you. So we encourage you to do that. It's not too early now to be applying for a January start. So classes have started for the fall semester, but now's a great time to be thinking about maybe what you want to do this coming winter.
Yeah.
So.
Come January.
Yeah. We also have scholarships for new students entering advanced manufacturing careers. So check that out as well. There's information on our website about advanced manufacturing scholarships.
Fantastic. Mike, thanks for stopping by and educating us a bit on mechatronics.
Thanks for the opportunity. It's been a pleasure to meet you and share about our program here in Faribault.
Sounds like you got a terrific one brewing. And it's brand spanking new. This is the first year, right?
It is the first year, you bet. So you're going to see more and more development as it goes. And
so that little baby is right now in swaddling clothes, and won't be long and be out of the nest. How awesome is that? So check it out, folks. South Central College, right here in Faribault, their brand new mechatronics program.